Hey, what's going on, guys? Recently, I had a super interesting question from one of our GHL Mastery students where he's trying to send an invoice and he's trying to update the opportunity value with the invoice total amount. Now, if you've ever tried that, you're gonna realize that there's a couple of problems. And I'm gonna explain those problems to you, and then I'm also gonna show you how you can work around those problems. So the main problem is that when you use an invoice trigger or a payment trigger, and I'm gonna show you here on my screen right now, if you have a trigger that is invoice sent, just like this, you get some additional custom values based on the invoice sent. And so what I usually like to do is I'm just gonna quickly send an SMS, and I'm gonna show you guys what the values are that you have from the invoice, right? So you've got invoice, you've got contact name, currency, due date, discount value, issue date, live mode, sender name, blah, 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 blah. You've got the subtotal and the total discount price. So you can actually use those values in different areas. So if I was gonna write a text message or send an email to somebody saying, hey, we just sent you an invoice for $197, click here to pay. Yeah, you can do that in an email. But the question was, I want to use that total, that $197 or whatever the invoice value is, and update an opportunity value with that total. So I'm gonna walk you through that setup, but I'm gonna show you why it's not gonna work the way you think it will. So really quickly, we're gonna use that same trigger of invoice sent. We're gonna come in here and we're gonna quickly update the opportunity, and we're gonna go into our test pipeline here, and we're gonna go, let's just say after the appointment's booked. We're gonna go contact.name. Now here's an area that you could use the invoice total value. You could come here and you could say that the invoice total value is invoice total amount, like that, and that'll display on the opportunity card. But what he wanted to do was he wanted to use this in here so that he could get a total lead value inside his pipeline and start to track and calculate, what's the actual revenue going to be from this in his pipelines, in his dashboards. Now here's where the problem comes in. When you click here, you don't have access to the invoice values. So what do you do, and why does this not work? Well, the reason that this doesn't work is, let's go look at lead value. This needs to be a numeric or a monetary field. So any of our numeric or monetary fields that we have in here, we can use. But the problem is that the current invoice total is not a monetary value. Whenever you get values from these types of triggers, they are going to be text field values that you cannot use in monetary fields. And I'm going to show you a perfect example of this. So we created a custom field that is invoice total, and that is a monetary field. So we're going to go and search for that invoice total right here. And you'll notice that I can't actually type in any custom key values in here. I can only type in numbers, which makes it really, really difficult to take that text field value and put it into a monetary value. Now I created another field here just to show you guys kind of what this would look like. This is just a single line text. So now in here, I can actually take this invoice value and I can do the total amount right there, and that's gonna work just fine, but again, it's gonna be a text field, so I can't use that text field in an opportunity value, or even if I wanted to do math functions, I can't use that field. So what do? How do you actually fix this problem? Now, if you are a keener and you saw what's on my screen already, you're gonna figure this out real quick. So you'll notice that the first trigger, or the first action that I have here, is a webhook. Now, why is it a webhook? It's a webhook because this webhook is actually able to take all of the values that come in from this invoice trigger, and it's gonna convert them into raw format. And then on the other side, we're gonna actually convert that raw data into the monetary value. And so I'm gonna go, literally, this is all you got to do. So anytime you've got a product payment, an order payment, an invoice payment, an invoice sent, whatever you want to do, you can just do this exact same thing, where we're going to take this invoice, and all we're going to do is we're going to start with a webhook. Now you probably noticed this is using the internal webhook structure right here. So let's actually go over into this next workflow. So there's a bit of a trick here when you're building these types of workflows. With an inbound webhook trigger, you need to get data first in order to do anything with this webhook. So what I will typically do is I'll actually create this workflow first, and I will copy this webhook URL. I'll go into here and I'll paste that webhook URL, And then I'm just gonna send test data to it. It's not gonna be the real test data that I want, but I'm gonna send test data so that I can actually save that, save this trigger right here with this URL source right here. So I've already gone ahead and done that. And then I went ahead and I sent myself a test invoice. Now, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna try to scroll through this raw data here until you find the invoice, the relevant invoice stuff right here. So we've got, there's amount here, there's total amount here. So we're gonna go and we're gonna search through all of this code until we find what we want. I think we already did, but you'll notice that I got first name, last name, email, phone number, all of that information's in there. And then down here is actually the value that we want. We want $197. So how did I actually test this? I just sent myself an invoice, and then I wanted to comb through this once this webhook fired from here over into this workflow. I was able to grab that sample data and then find the field value that I actually needed to make this happen. Okay, so that's step number one. Gonna grab your inbound webhook. You're gonna send it real data. And then once you've sent it real data, you can now start to filter through that real data. And here's where the magic starts to happen. We're gonna take the raw data from this inbound webhook, and we're gonna go and we're gonna create a contact, which is gonna be the default next action once you've actually done an inbound webhook. We're gonna map the email or the phone number, but you have to map one of those two things. If you don't do that, it's not gonna tie it to that exact same contact. So we're gonna map it to the email, and then this is the monetary invoice total field that I created on the custom fields. And now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go find that field. So total was the field, and we wanna look for the inbound webhook trigger, invoice, data, total. This is gonna be the total value right here. And now we can hit save. Now what we've just done here is we've taken the raw data from the webhook and we've converted it into a monetary field value that we can now use anywhere we want. So we can use that value either in a workflow, do math functions. We can now add it to the opportunity value, and that's now going to show and display inside the dashboard. So what we've done here is we've got, so you could, technically you could do this, but I prefer to do it the other way. So we're gonna actually delete this value here, and we're gonna update the opportunity lead value with, we're gonna go grab the contact, and we're gonna actually search for that invoice total field, which is that's not what I wanted. I hit the wrong one again. 1 second. We don't want the inbound webhook trigger. We want the invoice total right here. And that is a contact.custom field for the invoice total. And then you can do whatever you want. Now, obviously this was just a send invoice test, but if it was a payment, you could close win the opportunity. But the important part is that by adding this field, when you create the contact, you've converted that raw text to a monetary value. And now you can use that monetary value anywhere in the system for your clients and your opportunities. So we're gonna hit save. Now, what is that actually gonna look like? Well, I've already got it open for you. So now it's gonna show this monetary value right here, and it'll show you the total. And then when you go into your dashboard, it'll also show you the total opportunity values 1, based on your sending of invoices or purchasing of products in your CRM. So guys, I hope you found this one useful. If you did, obviously like, comment, subscribe. It really helps us get this message out to other people and teach them how to use high level at an extremely high level. And if you're one of those types of people who knows you just need a little bit of an extra push and a little bit of extra help, consider joining our GHL Mastery Program, where we walk you through this type of stuff every single day of the week. You can get access to it through the links below in the description, and we hope to see you on the other side. Take care.